Joe Rogan's Spotify deal, it shocked media watchers for the deal's estimated $100 million price tag, but not others who've been following Rogan's career and influence for a while now.
Friend of the show, Zed Jelani, recently pointed out that blogs also filled a similar niche in the past before becoming a part of traditional media. He believes heterodox podcasts like Rogan's will eventually become the mainstream too. The Intercept's DC Bureau Chief Ryan Grim joins us now via Skype to share his perspective on all of this. Great to see you as always, Ryan.
Good to see you, Ryan.
Good to see you. Yep.
What did you think about Zed's take there that, blogs used to be sort of similarly peripheral and got incorporated into the mainstream, and that's the direction that podcasts like Rogan's will go in ultimately?
I think there's a lot to that. You also have to wonder, is he mainstream already? If you're doing it just by sheer quantity and cultural influence, then the answer is obviously yes. But if it's a definition that is constructed by editors at the New York Times, then maybe he's not mainstream yet. But to Zed's point, eventually he will be, and this move is part of that. This is kind of pulling him closer into the center of power. Another thing it shows is that a lot of the mainstream outlets don't quite understand what people are looking for, and you can even put content aside. The format is interesting. Major media figures don't think that viewers have an appetite for more than a 3-minute segment on, say, MSNBC or CNN,
right.
And then it has to be shouting back and forth, and then that's all the time we have to leave it there, and then you do another segment that's just identical to the one that you didn't have time to finish a moment ago. Whereas what Rogan and a lot of other podcasts show is that you can actually go for several hours going deep into a particular issue, and people will not just stick around for it, they will share it and they'll come back for more.
Right, and that's one thing I wanted to get your perspective on this, Ryan, from the Intercept and many of the reporting that you've done, because you straddle also that line. I mean, you come on our show, you very much engage in that space as well, which is that as somebody who has a foot in the mainstream, you have mainstream credibility, but also very much in the independent media space, how have you viewed kind of the rise of the Intercept and the way that the mainstream treats it whenever you do your own reporting?
Yeah, you're right. That's an interesting point, because there aren't a whole lot of outlets that straddle both. Like the Young Turks, for instance, where I'm also a contributor. If you break news on TYT, it will take days, for anybody in the mainstream press to kind of pick that up. Whereas if you do it at the Intercept, it gets picked up pretty much immediately. At the same time, the presence of places like TYT and social media more generally makes it so there's so much pressure on the mainstream media that they eventually kind of do have to cover what's percolating on the left. Now, there's an asymmetry here that existed kind of in reverse in 2005 to 2008 during the blogosphere. In that period, it was really progressives who were dominating the blogospheric space and used it to fuel the 2006 takeover of the House, or at least got a significant amount of credit for it. Whereas it's really the right that is understanding to the greatest degree the value of these non-traditional spaces, with kind of TYT being the primary exception on the progressive end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that area is growing, though. Obviously, there are a lot of left-leaning voices in that new media space. On your point about the content, because I think that's really interesting, that there's this, because I've heard this from producers, from media executives repeatedly, that there's almost a faith that viewers only have, or listeners only have, 3 minutes or 90 seconds of attention span, and that's all that you're going to get them in for. That has been completely blown up, certainly by Rogan, but other podcasts and longer form conversations on YouTube as well. Where do you think that assumption comes from? Is it about what you can monetize? I mean, dig into some of those dynamics there.
Yeah, I think it is a lot about monetizing. If you have a much shorter clip, you can produce a whole lot more of them, and so it's just kind of pumping the widgets out. But even here on this show, you guys will go 10, 15, 20 minutes, right. And there's no evidence that people don't stick around. And I think if you guys started doing hour-long in-depth interviews or 2-hour-long interviews with people, that I think the viewers would stick around for those the entire time. And so it's just kind of the corporate structure doesn't incentivize new thinking, because if you do something new and it doesn't work, then you're out, because you're the one that had that idea. It failed, so see you later. If you do what everyone else has done before and you fail, well, then that was just bad luck. The time wasn't right, the environment wasn't right. You didn't have this or that to make it sing, and so you can then move up, continue to move up the corporate ladder, with your quote unquote learnings and go to the next place. And so there is a real risk aversion, and I think that's really what it is. And so the content gets produced on the outside and then just comes in and kind of pushes the rest aside. Except what usually happens is that the dominant players just absorb it, buy it, like they're doing with Rogan.
Yeah, it's a smart point.
Very true. I like that you have a soundtrack now.
Yeah, I know. Thank you for providing the soundtrack.
Ryan, always great to see you. Thank you.
You got it.
See you, man. Next on Rising, Marianne Williamson. She recently made headlines for backing Nancy Pelosi's challenger. She's going to tell us why she did when Rising continues.